Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. We're recording this February 1st, first day of February, which means, Soto, that January is over. And so you know what happens when January is over. Mm-hmm. Dry January has come to an end for old RJ.
RJ's dick immediately got hard right now.
Turns all your bad feelings into good feelings.
All
That's
day.
what beer does. I feel right. I feel normal again. This is my 4th year doing Dry January, and I'm glad I do it every year. It's a nice little reset after the holidays, right? You're seeing family, eating a ton, drinking a ton, just like reset the body a little bit. I can do 11 months without being an alcoholic. I don't need 12 months. But it does make you appreciate the little things. And so I obviously love beer, but I'm more of a liquor wine guy. But I start missing beer. So question of the day, we'll put it down in the comment section. Let us know, pinned on top. If you could only drink one beer for the rest of your life, what would that beer be? So you're not as big of a drinker as me, but I know you enjoy a nice frosty cold one as much as the next guy.
Yeah.
One beer. Is there one beer?
If I could only drink one beer for the rest of my life, selfishly, I would have to say a beer by the company South Norte, which is owned by my cousin, actually. Okay. And his basic entry-level beer is called Si Senor, but it's S-E-A-C, Senor.
Like I see you, Senor?
S-E, like the sea, like the ocean.
Ocean Senor.
And it's just a, good old-fashioned, entry-level slamming beer. And it's delicious. You can drink a ton of them. And, I'll probably go with that.
So I'm a chameleon drinker where, like, if I'm at a Mexican restaurant, I'm drinking a margarita. Italian restaurant, I'm having a glass of wine. Drinking with a bunch of bums under a bridge, I'm drinking Night Train, right? Like, whatever the mood is, I'll drink to it. And I'm the same way with beer. Like, if I'm mowing my lawn, I'll have like a PBR because it's just something cold to drink while I'm mowing. And if I step on dog poo, I don't feel bad, like, using some of the beer to, like, wash the shit off my foot, right? Like, if I'm like using a beer bong, like a Bud Light's fine, just like simple stuff. But if I had to just pick one beer to drink forever for multiple reasons, one, Sierra Nevada is the most healthy beer you can drink because it's all natural ingredients and some of the best water from Northern California. Like, it's up there in Chico that you can buy. So it's just like good, healthy beer. It's an IPA. So it's like 7% alcohol. And it'll just replenish you where it needs to go. So Sierra Nevada for me, I think it's the way to go. Let us know. Want to be the rest of your life? What would it be? So Dave Ziegler got himself a busy offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Really busy offseason. He's the only GM in the league that absolutely has to trade his quarterback and absolutely needs to get another one, right? He's the only one. And that's just quarterback. He has basically 9 spots on his defense to fill, an O-line, et cetera, right? Expecting a lot out of Ziegler this weekend, this offseason. But the number one thing to deal with, the first thing to deal with, is get as much as possible for Derek Carr. He's clearly on the chopping block, and he's got his work cut out for him because it's one thing to trade a quarterback when you're bidding against, like, when keeping him is an option, because now guys have to bid to take him from you. Mm-hmm. When you know he's out there, the value plummets, right? It's like, clearly the Raiders aren't going to have Carr next season. They have to get rid of him in the next 2 weeks. It's a buyer's market. What's the status right now of Derek Carr's situation? What can Ziegler get for him? Dave Ziegler is at the what's the name of the game that's going on? That college game? Is it the pro
Senior
game?
Bowl? This is the Senior Bowl this year.
The Senior Bowl right now.
This weekend.
And he talked to SiriusXM's Moving the Chains, and this is what he had to say when asked about what's the latest with Derek Carr?
Yeah, and I think here this week at the Senior Bowl, obviously everybody's here, and so this is a good time to have those conversations. But there's going to be people interested in Derek Carr. There's no doubt about that. He's been a good football player in this league for quite some time, and like I said, he's a phenomenal human being, and we'll kind of just see where it goes.
That was 30 seconds of him saying almost nothing. It doesn't sound like that was a tear. If you're trying to make like an infomercial for your quarterback to try to get as much possible in a trade, that was brutally bad. Like, that's all you can say is there's some people that are going to want him, and he's a good guy. Like, that's your pitch? That's your pitch to the other 31 teams? Like, hey, who needs a quarterback? We've got this. Oh my God, he had, he had 100 QBR a couple seasons ago, all-time leader in passing yards. You should be out there like a fucking infomercial, right? Like, you're out there, like you're at the circus. Like, hey, come on down. Hey, we got a quarterback. You can do all these things. And he's like, yeah, there's people that are going to want him. And boy, you'd want your sister to date him. I don't know. What do you make of that comment?
It sounds to me like he's probably got some stuff cooking.
Really? It sounds to me like exactly the opposite.
Of course, because you don't like the regime and you think they scapegoated people. And if I'm looking at it from that,
try not to get into your feelings, Soto. He said this is all he said was, yeah, there's people that are going to want him, and he's a good guy. That sounds like there's not a lot going on. Like, because if I'm Ziegler,
if a lot, yeah. Like, let me hear what a lot going on.
If I had something going on, right? Like, let's say I had a team, pretty close. Like, hey, we got kind of something going. I would say that. I would say like, yeah, like we've talked to two teams. They're very interested. We're always looking for somebody else. Like, I'd add a sense of urgency because there is a sense of urgency, right? It's 2 weeks away before you got to make a move. I would add something. Instead, it was just kind of like nothing. Like, you try to put something out there that, hey, make a move or Carr's going to go somewhere else.
I mean,
right?
I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand your point. Like, what else? How does he sound if he has something cooking?
I would say he has something cooking, and make your move now, guys, because time's running short.
No, I don't agree with that. I think that's something that you can say, but not saying anything doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing going on.
Oh no, it's not concrete, right? But
yeah, but it doesn't. I don't put that much weight into what not saying something like that. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, what does it sound like to you?
It sounds like you move in silence until something happens. We didn't know about Devontae Adams until maybe a day or two before it happened, and then it happened. So it's not like Well,
that's totally different. That was he was only going one way, right? No, only going to the Raiders.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is they're doing work. They're doing work, but they're just not making it known that they're doing work. They're moving in silence, and then that's why I'm not putting a lot into this. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, this is the only thing we've really gotten. Like, I haven't seen any reports on what's going on in that building with Ziegler, Davis, McDaniels, Carr. Like, there's been no reports, right? There's been nothing coming out from anywhere. This has basically been it for the last week and a half. Like, ever since more or less the last week and a half, 2 weeks, the only thing that's come out has been this 22-second statement that Ziegler had on Carr, and it was a nothing burger. And you're right. Like, it doesn't mean anything concrete, but if I'm going to learn anything from this, if I have any sort of line into what's going on in that building, it's this comment. And the comment sounds like it's nothing. Like, there's no pitch, there's no sell, there's just nothing. I would hope to hear some urgency out of him, because that's truly what's happening. Like, a wait and see was 2 weeks ago. This is a let's move. And this is also the time when guys are bumping into it. We talked about it on our last show, how during the Senior Bowl was when GMs and coaches and owners are all kind of bumping elbows and talking. And when some of these deals start rolling, like the kind of what, the seeds are planted for something to actually happen. I don't know. I hope you're right. I hope it's just a nothing burger because Ziegler just wants to give a nothing burger.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to hear some urgency out of him because that's what is happening is urgency.
I mean, I understand, but I mean, maybe that's because you're a little panicked because you don't know. Maybe he does know and he's not panicked.
Even if there is something going on, right? Let's say they've got a team with a semi-decent deal, 70% of the way, right? Wouldn't you want that to be known? Wouldn't you want the other 30 teams to know that if you're even kind of thinking about Carr, you better give us a call quick because we've got someone ready to go?
I don't know. I think that the people that he's dealing with already know what they're dealing with. I think it's just much ado about nothing at this point.
I want to hear more urgency, but hopefully that means nothing.
Hopefully.
All right, we haven't done a guest in a while.
In a long time.
But now that it's the off season, now that we've we're not like so focused on Sunday's game, not so focused on injury reports and all that kind of stuff, we can start bringing in some extra voices to this. And who better than our old buddy Adam Hill? I would say top 3 best friends of the show. Sanjeet, Adam Hill, maybe Eddie Urselli, also in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that because he's my boss at SiriusXM, just seriously because it's the truth. Adam Hill from Las Vegas Review Journal joins us next. All right, joining us now, multiple-time guest of the Autumn Windbags. You can catch him at the Las Vegas Review Journal. Sports writer, Nevada Sportswriter of the Year. Adam Hill,
Very
back
important.
in the Autumn Windbags.
And just so your viewers and listeners know that you weren't going to do that, and I said you have to. Like, you have to address me that way.
And I was not going to say no.
Why would you? There's no way.
I think you get thrown in jail in the state of Nevada for disobeying your orders now.
That was part of the announcement for sure. So I'm excited about that.
Do you get like a key to the city? I mean, in all seriousness, congratulations. Like, people
That's
like
awesome,
you're a humble guy and you're not going to toot your own horn, but we will beep. Like this is a big deal, right? Congratulations. Seriously.
It's cool.
Awesome.
It's cool because it's voted, by your peers and people around the state and the broadcasters and writers of the state. So it's cool to be recognized, but yeah, I'm not going to run around and do bad. There are people that, trust me, have like gotten carried away with this, like that have won it in the past and gotten obnoxious. That's not going to be me. I think there's like a plaque and a certificate or something. I'm not going to the ceremony. I'm just gonna accept it in the mail.
Do you want? Okay.
No.
Can Soto accept your award on your behalf?
Bro, I'll fucking do it.
Sure, if you want. It's in North Carolina though, so
he'll go.
So all the state award winners have to go to North Carolina. So it'll be a good time.
That is an underrated airport, the North Carolina airport.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
There you go. Sign me up. Hey, when your salary negotiations come up, whenever that may be.
Yeah, true. Right in there.
Your cap. There you go.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this award.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? All right. So off season, shit season. I would say most disappointing season in the last 20 years.
No.
Up there?
17.
No?
So there's a lot of choices there. I don't know if you want to
17 is way worse.
Some of those other spots.
Well, there's been in the last 20 years, have been in the playoffs twice, right? So I feel like the years after that, I've got to be top 2, right?
Yeah, look, I think it's disappointing for a couple of reasons. First, it's to me, if I were a fan, I'm not a fan. Obviously, I cover the team. I kind of follow it in a different perspective. But to me, if I were a fan,
Nevada State Sportswriter of the Year would not
unbiased.
be
That's
biased.
true.
Yeah,
got to be unbiased and yeah, play it down the middle. But to me, if I was a fan, I'd be disappointed because they bought into, and I think we've talked about this before, but they bought into fool's gold to me, and. It's easy to say in retrospect, but this is what I was saying last offseason. I didn't understand why you would take that team last year, which I thought was kind of trash, that made the playoffs on smoke and mirrors by beating a bunch of backup quarterbacks and getting some really fluky plays late in games and making the playoffs. And you're like, yes, this is a team that is ready to make one or two moves and be a Super Bowl contender. Like, that's not what that team was. I never thought that's what it was. Now, then you go in the offseason and you're like, all right, we're getting Devontae Adams, we're getting Chandler Jones, which in retrospect, yikes. But, we're making these additions. You're making moves last offseason that would indicate you think you're ready to win a Super Bowl. And I never thought that was the case. And so I'd be disappointed that the build, whatever build is coming, whatever you're trying to build for long-term sustainability, which is what they talk about, is a year behind. Like, that's what I would be disappointed about, not the results of the season, because the results were about what they were. If you look at the season win total, right there, like, they finished right where they were supposed to. They finished in the division where they were supposed to. Like, all those things. If you look at the odds and the prognostications and some of the metrics that were out there, like, that's what they were supposed to do, and they did exactly that. But now you're a year behind of trying to build something sustainable for the future. Now you've moved on from your quarterback. You got to figure that out. That should have been done last offseason. I didn't think they should run it back with Derek Carr, but they did. All of those things are there, and now you're a year behind.
Yeah, it's refreshing to hear somebody with such great knowledge and insight pretty much mirror exactly what I've said.
Well, you have great knowledge and insight, clearly, because you're on that. But yeah, look, I think that they bought into that magical, hey, we made the playoffs, right? Like, it's like this magical thing of, you made the playoffs, you're ready to go to the next step. Like, that's not always the case. And it's just, I just think people get too caught up in that. And look, if you look around the AFC, look, it's not going to be easy either. Like, there's years and years of difficult roads ahead. Like, what are you trying to build for? You have to beat all these top teams. Now, some of them are going to run into some issues. I think, once you start paying quarterbacks, it changes the dynamic. So I would have liked to see the Raiders do everything they can to build every other position and then try to drop in a rookie quarterback, because that's the way to build a team right now. But look, doesn't seem to be where they're going, and they're also in a tough spot now, because what do you do if you're Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler? If you're guaranteed 5 years, 4 years, yeah, you can do that and get a rookie quarterback and try to build up and be good in 3 years. But I don't know that they have that
guaranteed.
time.
This unit's guaranteed 4 years.
That's what I'm saying. They're not.
Okay.
They're absolutely not. So they can't do it the right way.
Yeah.
So I know that's frustrating for people to hear, but like, what they should do is probably not what they are going to do, because who knows if they're going to be around. And I think a lot of fans would say, I don't want them around if they don't win this year. Well, the right way you should not be putting a Band-Aid on this team. Like, you should be building for the future, and they're not going to have time to do that. So now they're going to be even more, further behind, because they're probably going to try to do everything they can to win as many games as they can this year, which is not what they should be doing. And now they're going to be another year behind next year. So I know it's very frustrating in that regard, but that's just where they're at.
Dude, this is the exact verbiage that I've been saying. Is every year they just slap a bunch of Band-Aids on stuff, and they follow a quarterback that isn't going to get them where they want to go, and they keep slapping. Okay, well, let's give them a good offensive line, let's give them good weapons, and let's just kind of give them a bunch of different things. It doesn't work out, but let's keep slapping Band-Aids on here. And it's like, you don't do what you're supposed to do, what the good teams do. Like, look, Green Bay having a Hall of Fame quarterback for like 35 years straight doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Okay, you got to be shitty for a little bit and then build the right way and come back up. And we haven't done that. And all these people that are crucifying me because they want to get rid of McTrash or whatever else they call him, I'm like, dude, you gave our old quarterback 9 seasons and you won't give our head coach 1?
Well, time out. Like, what one?
Here we go.
I'm with you that Josh McDaniels, you don't get rid of him after 1 season. We've both been in complete agreement.
Give him at least 3 seasons, man.
3 now?
Yes.
You've been on the record to say if next season starts like this season, he's gone. You've said that on this show. Are you changing that?
No, I didn't say I wanted him gone. That's what you wanted to hear.
No.
I said
he's gone.
No. See, look at you. This is what I said. I said that yes, he doesn't last another season if he wins 6-7 games. Okay. And that's because Mark Davis will fire him. I'm not saying I wouldn't stick with him.
Well, continuity is important, but on the flip side, Josh McDaniels has yet to prove he's a competent head coach. Right? We can all agree he's never proven that. Didn't in Denver. So far hasn't here. Right? So it's not like you're like, hey, he's proven it. Let him work his system. He's still on you have to prove you're worth being a head coach in this league. And you don't get 4 or 5 years to do that. You get 2. And you went from, I'm with you. Like, all the close games last season we won, all the close games this season we lost. That's We regressed back to the mean. So that's part of it, right? But you don't go from a 10-win team to a 6-win team and be like, all right, trust the process. Like, you don't get that.
Well, if you're like a slave to numbers and you don't take a look at the deeper numbers behind it, just like Adam said, you won a lot of games you should have won. Like, again, people are giving Carr credit for the 4-game winning streak last year. That's like probably one of the worst 4-game stretches of his career. He had like multiple turnovers every single game, and this fluke plays, the leg of Carlson, that's how they were winning these games. And it's like, you have to take a look at what was actually going on. What was actually going on this year is you had 4 games where you scored 6 points total in the second half. You had a game where you had Chargers first game where you threw 3 interceptions, 2 in the fourth quarter. Another game where the quarterback couldn't get you past the 50-yard line the whole entire game.
And now that Carr's gone, Josh McDaniels should flourish.
No, you should see a little bit more of a steadiness.
It depends who's there.
Yeah. That's the biggest question right this offseason, right, Adam, is who's QB1 next season?
Yeah, I think it's obviously a massive question, and option 1 is gone now. So that's not going to happen. So whatever people want to think or believe or whatever it was, Tom Brady was option 1. Like, that was the plan. That was what they were going to do. But I also think
when you say they, Adam, we know Mark Davis wanted it. Do you think McDaniels, Ziegler, everyone was like on board with that?
Yes, it was option 1. Yeah, for the team, it was option 1. There's no question. That was going to happen. I think it's been discussed behind the scenes. I think it's been talked about. I think the plan was, if Tom wants to play another season, it will be here. That was always the plan. Now, I think that they were prepared for this. Like, I don't think that they just put all their eggs in that basket and said that's what's going to happen, because they knew. I think that they believed it was close to 50-50. If he plays, it's here. If he doesn't, obviously they have to go in a different direction. But I think that they've been preparing, plan B, plan C, plan D as well. But Tom Brady was the plan. And I want to say this. I don't know how much of Seinfeld people you guys are, but there's an episode that I love so much, and I think it has to do with what happened today with some of the reaction, where Kramer said that he was going to build levels in his apartment. He was going to have all these levels that build higher and higher. And then all of a sudden he said, I decided not to do that. And Jerry's like, yeah, that was the bet. I said you weren't going to do it. And he's like, no, I could still do it. I just don't want to. And it's like this whole thing of like, yeah, that was my bet that you wouldn't want to do it. So like today, when Tom Brady announces he's retiring and people are like, I knew he wasn't coming here. You guys were all idiots and liars. Like, okay, the point was, if he plays, he's coming here. If he doesn't, he's obviously not. But this was the plan. Now, I do think it changed. The last couple of days, I think San Francisco was open. I think that all of a sudden it was like, oh, maybe with Brock Purdy potentially missing next year, who knows? Maybe Brady could go there. But I think that there was pretty much a plan that if Brady was going to come back, he was going to come here. But it was never certain he was going to come here. So now you have to move down and look at option, B, C, D potentially. And I think because, and again, this goes back to the way that they're going to build this roster and this franchise. If they had their choice, and by they I mean Ziegler and McDaniels, they would draft a rookie quarterback, develop him, and that would be their option. They'd start a rookie next year. I think that's what they want to do. But I don't think they have that time. And I don't think they believe they have that time. So they can't build the roster the way they want to. They can't build the team the way they want to because of that external pressure of, yeah, you can say that we're building for 3, 4, 5 years from now. But if you're not going to be here, then what's the point? Like, you have to win games in order to put that plan in place. So I think the plan will be to find a veteran, to bring somebody in to be the starter for a bridge quarterback. I think they will draft somebody. I do think – sorry, I got to plug in here, guys. Sorry about that. I do think that the quarterback they wanted to draft is probably not going to be their – I think that they had a quarterback in mind that was probably going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick. And now potentially looks like he might be a 1st-round pick. And so now I don't think that that's going to be necessarily on the table because I don't think they want to draft somebody in the 1st round that they thought they can get in the 3rd or 4th. So now who knows what direction they go. I don't think they use a 1st-round pick on a quarterback, but they might. And I do believe Garoppolo and Rodgers are probably the top 2 candidates right now to be the quarterback next year. But it's, all these things are factors. Like, you can't just say, well, they want to build with a veteran. Well, they want to win games so they can keep their jobs. Like, that's the bottom line. And so they might not be able to go the direction they want to.
Would you be betraying your source if you said the name of this 3rd or 4th round quarterback?
I think it's very obvious who it would be, right? I mean, somebody that a month and a half ago was projected to go in the 3rd round and now is projected to potentially go in the top 10. Mm-hmm. There was only 3 quarterbacks before that were projected to go in the top 10, and now there's potentially 4.
Okay.
Does the name Stanton Ryan Smanson Smithson?
Possible.
You've been banging that drum a while.
I like the kid, man. Look,
yeah.
if you can convince Mark Davis, like, look, man, we could win right now if we got Tom Brady. That's not going to happen. We can get one of these young kids. We can develop them. You just got to give us a little bit of extra time to do this. This is our plan. They freaking hit him with the plan. You don't think Mark Davis will go for it?
I don't know. I mean, how much do you trust that too, right? I mean, if you go to him and say, this is what we want to do. We believe in 2 or 3 years, this guy is going to be whatever, the next Josh Allen / Joe Burrow, whatever. But it's going to take a while. He's not ready to be that right now. But we want to draft him. We want to play him. And we're probably going to be terrible next year. But we need to be around and we need to put this plan in place. And he says, yeah, go ahead. And then they're 0-6 to start next year. I mean, does he hold up his end of the bargain and say, I'm not suggesting that Mark Davis is not a man of his word or anything like that, but it's one thing to say I'm on board. Mm-hmm. It's another thing to be an owner and to have fans screaming and yelling and furious and angry and not react to that, right? So I think unless there was some, maybe extension or something done with their contracts or whatever they would have to be to guarantee that everybody's on board with this plan of being bad in order to develop a quarterback, that's what they'd have to do. And I don't know that fans have that appetite right now. I don't think they do. And, for me, if I was a fan, I would be totally on board with that because I want the future success. But a lot of people aren't. Look, people get mad at teams for tanking. I mean, there are fans that, if your team, look at the Jets should have had Trevor Lawrence. And I remember when they won that game late in the year and some of their fans were celebrating. And I remember sitting at the sports book at the Westgate, the Superbook here in Vegas, screaming at them that they're morons. I was like, you want this temporary success of winning a stupid, meaningless game over potentially having a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence for the next 15 years? That's what you're happy about right now? And they're like, well, it's today compared to the future. Like, this is instant gratification is what people are all about. And I'm not saying people are wrong about that, but there's not a lot of people that have an appetite for that. Yeah, there's not that many people that have that appetite for it.
Look, we've been losing anyway. So what's the fucking difference? So isn't there a middle ground? Isn't there like, okay, I'm not saying yes or no, but let's say if we get somebody like a Jimmy G, okay, Steady Eddie, you can't tell me that he's that much better, that much worse than Derek Carr, okay?
Durability, yes.
Wait, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about his skill set. We're talking about skill set. I won't fight you.
Okay. Durability is real though.
But also, he knows the system a little bit better. He's used to being coached by McDaniels. Not going to get that, woe is me, freaking Eeyore bullshit, right? Okay, so you can roll with Jimmy G, who's going to cost you not as much as Derek Carr cost you. You can sign him for a couple of years, guaranteed, and then a couple of fun years at the end that you can get out of. You can still draft that young quarterback and have a Jimmy G so you can still be competitive and have your quarterback for the future coming up. Is that something that you think they can go for?
I mean, that'd probably be my plan. That's what I would do, especially if Garoppolo is as affordable as he might be. Now, if there's a bidding war on Garoppolo and some of these teams are desperate for a quarterback and now all of a sudden you have to pay him 28, 29, I don't know that I'd be interested in that. But if it was 15 to 20, that'd be my plan. Garoppolo would be my number one option right now. Draft a quarterback to develop and play it out that way. Actually, my real number one option, if I was in charge of the team, would be that Chase Garbers is starting next year and we're losing every game and getting Caleb Williams. That's my plan.
That'd be sweet.
I mean, that would be absolutely the plan to put in place. But I don't know that the appetite is there for that. So I think if you're going to try to at least be respectable, have a chance, with this roster and Jimmy Garoppolo, is there a chance they can sneak in? Yeah, they could probably sneak into the playoffs if that's what people want. So get Garoppolo, develop a quarterback, be okay, and then you hope that your quarterback hits and that you're able to compete with some of these top teams in a couple of years. And having a quarterback on a rookie deal we've seen is the way to get to Super Bowl.
Does Jarrett Stidham fit anyway in this plan at all?
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. From what I understand, I think he has a really good relationship with the coaching staff. I have talked to some people that said he's very interested in coming back. But there could also be other teams out there that really want him. They saw what he did the last couple of games, and maybe they believe in him and want to take a chance on him. So we'll see what happens to him in free agency. But I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that either. I think I'd put him number 2 option for me behind Garoppolo. I don't think Rodgers would be my choice. I would love it. I would love it from a media perspective. I would love to, to have him around, to have press conferences around him, to kind of talk to him. I'd like to see the Rodgers Devontae Adams dynamic again. Like all those things would be great. But I don't know that he'd be up there. I think my choices right now, if I was running the team, would be Garoppolo 1, again with a rookie draft pick that you make, and then Stidham probably 2, and I guess Rodgers kind of a distant 3rd behind there, and then we'll see who else comes available.
Yeah, I'm not keen on trading draft picks to get Aaron Rodgers in that thick ass contract. That's going the wrong direction, I think.
Yeah, he expressed some openness to renegotiating the deal and figuring that out. But the cap hit isn't ridiculous. The problem would be if you kind of push some of that money back, which they would obviously do, and it's already kind of into his contract where you can push some of the money back. Then if you have him for a year or even 2, you've got all this dead cap money after that. So you're kind of hamstringing yourself for the future to take a chance to try to win next year, which with him around, could they win a Super Bowl? I don't know, but would they make the playoffs? I would think that there's probably a good chance that they would. Yeah. So, what are you trying to do? I think that's the question. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to win a Super Bowl, or are you trying to be competitive and make the playoffs every year? Like there's 2 directions you could go. And, not that you're going to guarantee success with either direction, but you have to decide what your plan is.
If you had to put money on it, what do you think they would do moving? I mean, I don't know what you want, but what do you think they will do? I think Garoppolo is their next step. I think that's their fallback option from Brady for now. Again, we don't know what's going to happen in this market. And keep in mind, not only is Brady gone from the Raiders' plans, but that's one less quarterback available, where we're talking about like kind of this carousel of quarterbacks and who lands where. Like this is probably a good thing for Derek Carr because it's one less quarterback that's out there and probably money for him. It's probably more money for Garoppolo. So, that kind of takes away if you're looking to save money by signing Garoppolo, well, now there's going to be other teams that are like, well, maybe that's our option too. So one less quarterback available at the top makes all those guys more expensive and makes it tougher to find a cheap option.
Yeah, Tommy Tuckrell was the first chip to fall, right? I feel like everyone was kind of waiting to see what he does, and then everyone makes their decisions moving on. And you touched on it. What have you heard as far as where Derek Carr could go? Are there negotiations pending? Is there something close? Is no one biting at all? Like what's going on that you've heard on in those walls about Derek Carr?
And we want names. We want names, okay?
Yeah, I want
to know how many first-round picks. I want to know exactly. Give me everything.
0. I'll tell you that right now. We knew from the beginning it was going to be complicated because of the contract, because of the dates on that contract, right? It's coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 days after the Super Bowl, there's got to be a decision made from the Raiders' perspective. And it's gotten even more complicated than it was before, because before we thought, okay, the Raiders have to make a decision if they're going to trade or cut him by 3 days after the Super Bowl. And if they don't have any offers on the table, if they don't have anything firm in place, and Derek Carr hasn't agreed to it because he has a no trade up through that point, then they're just going to have to cut him. Like they just have to release him and let him go, because they can't take a chance of letting that contract get guaranteed and then making a deal with nothing in place. So they'd have to cut him. And we thought that was going to be the biggest sticking point. That was going to be the biggest holdup for a potential deal. But it really turns out that the team doesn't want him to go out and negotiate a contract with anybody that would be contingent on them trading him to them, because then the other team that he negotiates a deal with would tell him, hey, just say no to a trade and we'll just sign you as a free agent after they cut you. Mm-hmm. And so the team doesn't want him to negotiate, and he doesn't want the team to trade him somewhere else. So it's gotten to be even more of a sticking point than we even thought it would be. So, I mean, my sense is that they're probably going to end up having to just release him. I don't think there's going to be anything Yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything able to be made. Now, it's possible somebody comes in and gives them a big offer, and it's a team that Carr wants to go to, and a team that will renegotiate with him. Those things are all possible. So, I think that just saw some Golden Knights news flash across. That's interesting.
This is a Kings podcast, Adam. Keep the night stuff to yourself.
Yeah, no, sorry. Well, it's probably good news for the Kings, I would imagine, that if Mark Stone did have surgery just now, that probably is pretty tough for the rest of the year. I think that because of all the weird contract situation, I think it's going to be tough to make the deal. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to be able to. I think there are teams talking to them and interested, but on a couple of levels, like why would he just accept a trade anywhere if he thinks that there's a deal better for him out there somewhere else?
Yeah. And
why would the team trade him somewhere if they're going to have that month where they're kind of worried about whether it's actually going to go through or not? So it's on both sides. I think it's kind of gotten to a weird point where I do think they're going to end up having to cut him. I think that's going to be what the end result of this is. And then who's interested in it? I think the wild card to me that I think some people have talked about, but not enough, would be the Saints, which I think would be a very interesting spot for him to go. Tampa Bay now I think is probably a potential option, or Carolina. So I think pretty much anywhere in the NFC South would be an option for him. And then, Jets, Colts. I know that, Pat McAfee's making a big push for Aaron Rodgers to the Colts, and he's trying to kind of facilitate that deal, it sounds like. But I think Colts and Jets are out there. If I were Derek and his people, I'd cross the Jets off the list because I think they're ready. I love their defense. I love their coaching staff. I think it's a perfect situation except for, and this is cliche, and I know everybody talks about it, but climate, not good for him to be in wind and cold. And the bigger thing that I don't think enough people have talked about, I don't think Derek Carr is ready for New York media. I just don't think it will happen.
I could not disagree more.
Because Derek Carr can do no wrong in your eyes.
No,
that's why.
Carr's poisoned Soto's mind. He turns everything into Carr.
Bro,
you show me. Give me one example, Adam. Give me one example of a player who's gone to New York and fell apart because of the New York media.
Well, I mean, there's examples in baseball for sure. I mean, we've seen them over the years. Football is different.
Example you can think of?
But who is like Derek Carr?
A lot of people.
That's what, I don't know.
Sure.
A lot of the televangelists that make you think there's something else than they are.
Well, I know, and you're acting like it's you're thinking like no one's talking about it. Everyone talks about that. Like all the time, people say, "Oh, you're going to New York. You're going to fall apart. The New York media is so tough." It's like, sure, it is, but has that affected guys on the football field where the media has been so tough? I think they haven't performed on the football field. Like that never happens. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Heaven forbid someone from the media actually knows and feels something about how media can treat players.
I just look being around Derek. I think off. It's a weird spot. Off camera, off microphone. Like you talk to Derek in the locker room. Cool, like you like him. Good dude, cool guy. Like gets along with people. Like he's a good dude. And there's something about him when he gets on a microphone that is just weird. It's strange. It's not genuine. It's all those things. And I think that I won't say he's been given a pass. I'm one of the people that talks to him every day or every Wednesday when he does media, every Sunday after the game. Like, and then in the locker room, like I'm around him all the time. And you just see those little areas where he's about to kind of crumble. And I'm not going to say let off the hook's not the right word, but like everybody kind of understands, like, okay, you just move on to the next question. We're good. Like that wouldn't happen in New York. Like, and I'm not criticizing myself or other people around me. Like, we're not there to try to make him crumble. Like, that's not what we see our job as. And I think people in New York will. Like, I just think they'll see that vulnerability and they'll attack. Like, that's what they do. We're not out there for that. We're just out there to tell his story and all those things. Like, we don't think we're part of the story, and I think media there does. And that I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. Like, I think that there's fans and viewers that enjoy that, but it just hasn't been that way here or in the Bay Area. And I think it would be in New York.
Is the media in Vegas too forgiving? Because our other third host that kind of comes on, Rory, like just rips Vegas media all the time. Like they don't come down on these guys hard enough. They're just like, let them get away with these answers.
We'll give
is
you
Vegas like one of the most like gentle media markets?
Well, I think that there's a couple of things. First of all, it depends who you're talking about in the media, and there are people that dominate some of the press conferences that you're like, what are you doing? And I think for that reason, but there's order, which I think is this is really inside baseball, I think. But like in the press conferences, especially with Derek, obviously in the locker room, we're having one-on-one conversations that are very different. But with Derek on the podium and with Devontae on the podium, it's one at a time, right? It's your question, then your question, then your question. And the Raiders are very kind of particular about that. Like, no, you're not following up. You're not jumping. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. And if it wasn't that way, if you could have multiple, questions or follow-ups, I think it would be different. But it's like, okay, I have my question. I go in there and I have a question that I have to ask for my story. And I know what I have to ask for my story. And the guy before me asked a question where it completely lends to like, wait a minute, what? And you're like, you have to make the decision. Do I go after him and follow up? Like, wait a minute, no, and call him out on something, or do I miss my opportunity to have, because I have to write my story for the week and I'm writing about this. Like, what do you do? And again, I don't look at it as our job to make them crumble. Like, I don't think that's our job. Like, our job is to tell the stories that we're working on, or we're going to tell, or that we think are important that week. And there are people that don't think that's the job. The job is, if I was there, I would make this person cry. Like, okay, like, what is the point of that? Like, I don't understand that. It's for the readers and the listeners and the viewers to judge if somebody's being honest. And I think that, and a lot of times, like, there are ways to better get to the core of that. If somebody says an answer that you're like, yeah, you're not being honest here, to really attack that. But is that our job all the time? No, I don't think so. And I think part of it is the format, for sure. And you see other places where it's just people screaming questions, which I think lends to a more adversarial relationship and probably a lot more, maybe entertainment for people. But is our job to provide entertainment, or is it to provide stories? I don't know. I think that's a fair question, a fair criticism that I've thought a lot about.
Yeah, I think the first time that Carr gives one of those, like, we got to get better, and I'm going to work hard. It's going to start with me. We're going to work hard and keep going every single day in practice, and we'll get together. Once he gives one of those answers, freaking New York media is going to go and just keep on. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it happening.
And we have seen Derek Carr get sensitive about. Look, Derek's a sensitive guy. Like, I don't think that's a criticism of somebody. I think there are people that handle things differently. I think he is fairly sensitive about a lot of the criticism and a lot of those things, which is different than a lot of other people are. And to your point, like, there was one time where, I think it was my first or second year covering the team, where Derek started his press conference and he just said, he's like, you know what, this is about the team. We lost. I was part of that. And he takes responsibility. And then he goes, I couldn't even tell you my numbers. He's like, I only had 6 incompletions today. Do you think I know that or care about that? And I was like, wait, what? What did you just say? So like, it would have been an easy opportunity to be like, bro, you just say you don't care about numbers. You're lying. What are you talking about? But I think for the most part, a viewer would understand that, right? Somebody watching the press conference would understand what he just said was not genuine and not he contradicted himself. But is it our job to then scream back at him like, you're lying? You just, like, no. I think it's a listener, a viewer's job to say that, or us to write about what was said. And I don't think that would be the case in New York. I think they would just start screaming at him and yelling back and back. I just think it would be different. I don't know that relationship works as well as it would in a different place.
Do you think, because like Mark Davis is finally making real money as an owner, and we're seeing these reports where he's like so mad that the stadium is like 75% Chiefs fans or Niners fans. Do you think he gives that big of a shit, or if the money's rolling in, he's fine? Like, where do you think Mark Davis is right now? DEFCON 2 because the coming off of a 6-win season when he thought it was going to be better, or do you think he's like, he's Scrooge McDuck, right? Sifting through his bank vault. Like, where do you think he stands right now?
I think it would be different if, and it's crazy to say it, if he hadn't won the title with the Aces. I think it might be different.
Come on. That WNBA title's changing it for him? He's
so into that team. And he should, look, dude, that
bro, they win, bro.
He should be into it. And by the way, their offseason has been insanely good too. I think he's so into it. It's kind of refreshing to see how excited he is about those games. So I think it'll be a little bit different. Like, look, I think he wants both. I think he wants his cake and eat it too, to use the cliche. But he wants to, sorry, too many messages coming. My fault. I'm doing this on my phone, so it's probably a mistake.
Nevada Sportswriter of the Year is a pretty popular guy. We get it.
True, it's true. So I think what he wants is to have all that money coming in, have all the success at the business level, and have it all be Raiders fans. Like, that's what he wants. But it wasn't going to happen in Las Vegas. Like, that having a team in Las Vegas was always going to be about people coming in from everywhere to watch their team, and with good reason. Like, that's what Las Vegas wanted. I mean, obviously we wanted NFL, we wanted to have a team, we wanted a Super Bowl eventually, we wanted all those things, but Las Vegas wanted tourists. Las Vegas wanted people to come in. That's why Las Vegas invested the money that they did in a football stadium. So it was always going to be that relationship, that balance of, yeah, the Raiders are here, the town embraced them, the town loves them, and they're going to make a ton of money, but it's also going to be stadiums that are 50-50. And that's how by the way, the Knights have been a very successful franchise. It's kind of the same. Like, it's not 50-50, but when Canada's here, when Canadian teams are here, it's a pretty strong contingent of Canadian teams. When the Blackhawks are here, or the Red Wings, or the Islanders, or the Rangers, it's a pretty strong contingent of road fans are at that stadium, and it's always going to be the same. And so it's going to be the same at Allegiant. I do think if they're, a dynasty type team, a franchise at some point, it'll be different because you'll have a lot of those big money people that are, that are just going to buy up the tickets and not sell off the tickets and have locals be there, and it'll be the place to be seen and all that. But for right now, like, I think we as a city love the fact that people are coming in to watch these games, and the Raiders have to love the fact that they're making a lot of money and have, all this extra income that they can spend on other things. But you can't have it both ways, I don't think. If you want all local fans, all fans of the Raiders, you're not going to be making that same kind of money.
Mm-hmm. Adam, you should come on more often, because you and I mean, we're right here. We're right here every single time.
Mm-hmm.
It would be fun to cover a team that was, 95%, fans of, it was all this rowdy rocking stadium. But I think the atmosphere is really good for the games. I don't think it's been, impacted that much. I think it's fun to watch it. I think it's cool. It's and it's not 50-50. I think there's some games where it's, 60-40, even 70-30 for the Raiders, but there are going to be those big games where people come in. But yeah, I just think, it's the cost of doing business, and it's why they got so much money to build this stadium, and why they're hosting 2 back-to-back Pro Bowls, the Super Bowl. It has
to be earned, right?
Yeah,
you can't be mad that you win 6 games and the last 2 games of the season you're eliminated from the playoffs and you've benched your quarterback. That guys with PSLs are like, I'm going to sell my tickets because I can get $700. Like, you can't be mad at fans for like, I'm going to sell my ticket to a Niners fan. Like, why am I going to a meaningless game? Like, you got to earn it. You got to earn full stadiums of Raider fans.
One of my very close friends is not only a season ticket holder, but also an obsessed Raiders fan. Obsessed. Like walk into the house, it's just Raiders stuff everywhere. And he didn't go to the Niners game because he sold his ticket for that game and pretty much made almost his entire season back. And he was like, I can't say no. Like, I can't say no to that.
Yeah.
First of all, we're not, in his mind, we're not making the playoffs. It doesn't really mean that much. Like, why wouldn't I sell this ticket?
Yep.
And I yeah, of course, you're absolutely right. And I don't think you can even be mad at a fan for that.
No, you're paying for next year's tickets. Like, with those 2 games, you're paying for next year's tickets.
Of course. Yeah, he went and tailgated, sat in the parking lot, watched the game, tailgated, watched the game in the parking lot, and had a great time.
How is tailgating at Allegiant? Because I remember they were like, I feel like they've been trying to squash it because they want you in the casinos, obviously, right? So it's like,
yes and no, but I think they kind of understand that balance. Like, the reason there's not a whole lot of tailgating is because there's just not space. Like, going back to when they were building the stadium, they had a couple of choices of where to put the stadium, and they put it where they did because it was such a cool view of the Strip. You could walk from the Strip. It was ingrained in kind of the landscape and the skyline of Las Vegas. But they also understood that they were going to have to sacrifice some things like parking, one. Yeah. And the stadium, actually, if you go in there, it's like the actual field, the seats, everything is beautiful. But like the concourses are somewhat not great. And it's not as wide as probably it should be because they had to build it in such a constricted area. And so I think they sacrificed some of what they could have done from a stadium perspective and a lot of what they could have done from a parking perspective to build where they did. But I think they've done a good job with what they have. There's a really small tailgating lot right across from the stadium where there's some really hardcore fans and some good area. And then across from that, closer to actually between the stadium and where the field sits when the games aren't going on, and then from there to those we were talking about some hotels I think before we went on the air. There's like a group of Marriott properties right over there.
Yep.
So between that area, there's a pretty big lot, and that is just jam packed with tailgating area. I mean, that's a really, really good area to walk around, and the great food and people, just out there drinking, watching games, having a good time before the game. Like, that's a really good area. So I think the quality is very good. The quantity isn't great. Like, there's not a huge area to do it, but the area that they have, they've kind of figured out a good way to make it a great atmosphere. And then there is, I don't know how many people know this. If you haven't been to the stadium recently, you wouldn't, but there is an In-N-Out burger opening right next to the stadium.
Oh, good.
And so I think that is going to be nuts when that opens. I drove by today to get the Pro Bowl credential, and it's getting closer. So I think that's going to be a welcome addition for a lot of people. There's really nowhere to go. There's a gas station and a strip club. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only place you can go.
Working on the UFC, they put us in one of those 3 Marriott hotels, and it's like, yeah, you're walking that gas station, or you're getting wings at the titty bar. Those are your options. That's it. Or Uber Eats.
A couple blocks away, there's a really, really good barbecue spot, but nobody even knows where it is. It's kind of buried in those.
It's like a Skinny Fats, like way deep in the commercial area. The other way, that's
the other
a 15-minute hike. Yeah,
yeah, that's the other way from the stadium. But I mean, like 2 blocks over, like to the west, there's a really good barbecue spot. But yeah, Skinny Fats is amazing. But it's, again, you walk opposite from the stadium and then walk all the way back to the stadium. Like, that's not really a place to go. I can't imagine what that In-N-Out is going to be like on game day.
Regular In-N-Outs that have been around for 30 years, not near anything, have lines out the door already. Like, I live in Long Beach, California. There's 3 In-N-Outs within 10 minutes from me. All lines
always
out the door.
Packed. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine on a game day.
You're not getting a burger on game day at In-N-Out. I'm telling you right now, not happening.
And the workers are going to pass out. It's going to be nuts in there.
They got to do pop-ups or something. Like, it's just money. Like, it's just money ready to be made. Like, you got to put those trucks out there somewhere. Like, it's just, you could print money with those things.
Oh, it's gonna be nuts. But they're so worried about quality of food all the time at In-N-Out that they won't expand quick enough.
That's why they're special. Quality of food. Before we let you go, best strip club and worst strip club in Vegas.
Oh boy. Like, see. Oh, okay. Should I do worst? I don't know if I want to do worst. I'll tell you the best one, and there's really not a close second. It's called the Palomino.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit north of town.
Mm-hmm.
It to me is by far the best strip club in Vegas.
Odo, have you heard of the Palomino before?
I have. I have never gone though.
Never gone? Okay. Adam.
We'll go, Adam. We'll go.
Please explain.
Hit me up. I'll take you there. Well, I don't want to get into the details of why it's the best.
We'll do that when you're off. We're not sports writers of the year. We can go into the details.
You have a reputation to uphold here.
Sure.
Not us.
Look, the staff is really, really friendly, really accommodating.
Parking is ample.
There's great parking. You can go. You can go. Settle down. Don't be gross. You can go hang out at the Jerry's Nugget, which is right across the street. Play some blackjack. Get some drinks over there. The cafe, again, I'll make another Seinfeld reference. The Dream Cafe from Seinfeld, when Babu had like way too much on his menu, that's Jerry's Nugget. Jerry's Nugget has a page of Mexican, a page of Italian, a page of Greek. Like, they have every kind of food imaginable. I'm like, focus on one thing.
Page of Mexican.
It's right there. It's right next door. Yeah. And so you go over there, have a great dinner, and then walk over to the Palomino, which, by the way, if you're looking for like hidden secret, I don't even know if I should say this out loud, but they built a private VIP room for athletes and celebrities, and you can also rent that out as a regular person. It's not cheap, but it has its own entrance, its own like DJ. It's unbelievable, and they recruit better than Alabama, I've said. So
a lot of blue chip.
Yeah.
So if you walked in with your plaque, Nevada Sportswriter of the Year, would you get the back room, special area?
I'll say this. There was, I won't give it away. There is a certain professional sports franchise that I have introduced to. It's not an NFL team. I've introduced them to the Palomino, and every time they're in town, they go over there. And some of the staffers last time they were in town were just blown away because it was only a couple weeks ago. And we walked in the front door, and a bunch of managers came up and like, "Hey, it's the Nevada Sportswriter of the Year. What's up? Come on in," and got us a booth. So yes, that will happen. But it's only because I like to bring a crew there. I like to bring people in there and show them around. It's not because I am there all the time or anything like that.
I hope it was a WNBA team. That would just make the story so much better. When the dignitaries are gone, so I'll tell you what really makes the Palomino so special. Worst strip club.
You can probably look it up.
Oh yeah, it's the only place west of the Mississippi.
Sure.
That has this rule set. I'll tell you when Adam's gone.
Sure.
Real quick.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna have to take your word for that. I don't even know what you mean by that.
Sure, you don't. Okay. Worst strip club ever. It's gone now, so we can shit on it. The Tally Ho. Do you remember the Tally Ho?
Yeah, first of all, no. It's Larry's Villa was worse.
Worse than the Tally Ho.
Worse than Glitter Gulch.
Yeah, worse than anything. It's bad. I don't want to crush on a place. I'll tell you this. So you guys watch Bar Rescue?
Yes.
Yep. The Bar Rescue did a rescue of a gentleman's club in town that I would say is the worst.
Okay.
And Taffer went in there and lit them up. And it was so bad that, God, I don't want to give names here, but I will say I was watching the episode at a house party hosted by a very prominent person that you know very well, RJ. It was a house party at his house, and we were watching the Bar Rescue episode. And it was so bad that we got in 3 Ubers from this house party and went there immediately because we had to experience how bad it was. And we got in there, and it was worse than we even thought. And bless this lady's soul, there was an older woman working in there, and she was like managing the place and bartending the place.
Yeah. And
Taffer was like, "You do both those?" And she's like, "Yeah, I gotta tend the bar, I gotta manage, I gotta do this." And then all of a sudden, at one point, she's dancing. And she's probably in her 60s. And he just goes, No.
Awesome.
No. Enough. This is not gonna happen. But I'll say this. When we went in there after watching the episode, there she was tending bar and then going up on stage. And wow.
So that made it awesome, though. See, it's so bad, it's good.
Well,
it was uncomfortable, man.
The Tally Ho. Did you go to the Tally Ho back in the day, Adam? Remember the
I've heard many stories, but I can tell you that the other place, Larry's Villa, which is gone, had to be much, much worse.
The Tally Ho had character. It was terrible, but it had character that made it novel. So the Tally Ho, Soto, imagine this. You go to a strip club. It's the size of my house. Less than 1,000 square feet. Tiny, right? The dance floor, the stage, 4-foot diameter. That's it. You're basically dancing on a table. There wasn't a DJ. The girls had to put quarters in a jukebox to get their song to dance. No girl in there was under 180 bills. And the best part was, speaking of bills, they would not give you $1 bills. They would only give you $2 bills. If you gave them $100 bill, they would give you 50 $2 bills. I still have a matchbook from that place. I'm going to put it in a shrine one day. Legendary spot.
Sounds like a good spot.
Unbelievable. We would go there before we went to the good titty bar. Right? As like a reverse palate cleanser type of thing. You know what I mean? Just to kind of get your mind right.
Well,
Adam Hill.
The other move, by the way, is before you go anywhere, go drink at Casino Royale. That's always my tip to people.
Oh, Casino Royale.
Drink there for nothing, and then get ready to go other places where you're gonna have to pay a lot more.
Next time we have you on, Adam, we're gonna have you like, let's say I'm a fan or I've never been to Allegiant Stadium, and I'm going there from like Friday to Monday. You're like, all right, what's the schedule? What as a debaucherous? Like a me or Soto, right? Just like going to hell, totally debaucherous. What are we doing that weekend to get Vegas? That'll be the next time you come on.
I don't know if I'll be helpful because I'm a perfect angel and I have no idea what you're talking about. But
Other people you know.
Sure. I'll ask some people and find out what the debaucherous people do in Vegas from Friday to Monday. But I will also say last offseason, my project that I worked on much of the offseason was rating the NFL road trips in terms of you want to go to a road game. You're going to be there Friday night till Monday morning. What's the best place to go? What's the best and worst place to go? And like what the itinerary is for the weekend. And that was fun. Obviously, Vegas was one. And I'll say that Cincinnati was last. Cincinnati is one of the worst places I've ever been.
Wow. Last.
Horrific.
Okay. We'll find out number 2 and second to last.
Yeah, Jacksonville is second to last. I'll tell you that. I'll give that away.
A lot of homework for Adam next time he comes on.
Sure.
The Nevada State Sportswriter of the year. You catch her at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Also, make sure you follow him on the Twitter machine at Adam Hill LVRJ. Adam, always a pleasure. Maybe are you going to be at the Apex this weekend for the fights? Or are you going to be doing all the Pro Bowl stuff?
Pro Bowl stuff.
Okay, which makes sense. The fights are on at 1 a.m. this weekend because they're supposed to be in Korea, so it's going to be
probably at Palomino. So we'll see.
Well, then maybe that's where I'll bump into you. Thanks, Adam.
Good times.
Thanks, Adam, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam Hill.
Adam's the man.
He's the man. So the Palomino, real quick. What makes it so special? It's the only titty bar west of the Mississippi where you can both drink and it's bottomless.
Ooh.
Almost every other strip club in America, it's either they have to wear bottoms, but you can have an alcoholic beverage, or they're completely nude, but you're not allowed to have booze. I don't know how. I don't know what deal they made with the governor or God or whoever. Palomino. You get to see it all and drink as much as you want.
Booze and beaver.
God's grace.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm not really a big bottomless guy. I can do without it. I don't have to see it.
You're a tits guy. That's why all tits.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need to see the nether region. Like it doesn't like looking at it. I'm a fan, I enjoy, like it's a playground I want to play in, but like looking at it from a distance, it's not, I don't know. Does it blow your skirt up, Soto?
I mean, yeah, it's a little extra little something. You can see a little butthole too, whatever. No big deal.
Okay. All right. Teach his own. Let's do some Raider news. First one. This tweet came out yesterday. Derek Carr. 4 smiley face laughing emojis. Well, maybe this invitation got lost in the mail from past seasons, but I'm going back to the Pro Bowl. Number 4, see you soon, Vegas, because the Pro Bowl is in Las Vegas. So, Soto, this is I feel like this is a gift to you specifically. I feel like the Pro Bowl committee thought to themselves, this is a chance for Juan Soto to make a giant step for himself. I know you're fuming about this. I know earlier you're going to have a mental breakdown, but this is your chance to prove to the world that you are a rational, objective analyst of Derek Carr. And you can look at this and not have it be a blow up, not flip out, see it for what it is, and prove to the world that your mind hasn't been poisoned by Derek Carr.
It just sounds kind of crybaby-ish. Like, oh, I deserve this other times I didn't get it. And he's pumped up about...
Don't say I didn't give you an opening. So
excuse me? Did you allow me the chance after you kind of pigeonholed me? Do you allow me the chance to finish?
Continue.
He's pumped up about being the 5th alternate for the Pro Bowl. That's why I don't give any credence to Pro Bowls, especially for quarterbacks, because none of them go. He was like the 8th choice to go. And okay, now he made it. So congratulations. You and Tyler Huntley and whoever else is going, congratulations. That's a great feat.
I gave you a chance and you didn't take it. He started out with 4 laughing emojis. Even he understands how ridiculous this is. Like, he was benched. He's like technically on
that's
the team,
not the problem.
but not
That's
really
not
on
the
the
problem.
team. Even he's laughing at it.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is maybe it's for the past season. Like, I've been snubbed so much. How dare they? Look at all these numbers I put up.
He didn't say that.
Save it. That's what he's
he said.
saying.
Maybe it got lost in the mail because he's like, why did I get it this season?
No.
Maybe it was like maybe it was like years late.
Yeah, because I deserved it so many more times that I didn't get it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
All right. I try to give it out. Maybe one day you'll take it. In other Raiders news, and this affects us drastically, Albert Breer tweeted out the 2023 franchise tag numbers. For those who don't know, the NFL franchise tag is based on the position, right? So if you're franchise tagged as a kicker, you're going to make less than as a quarterback or a defensive end or whatever, right? So here they are. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're not, if you're on the podcast, quarterback 32 mil, wide receiver 19 mil, defensive end almost 20 mil, defensive tackle almost 19 mil. Then it goes all the way down to kicker and punter 5.3 mil. But the number we care about the most as Raider Nation, running back, because we still have the option to pick up Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option. Not the fifth-year option, but franchise tag him. It would only cost, I say only, it would cost $10 million to franchise tag Josh Jacobs. Nowhere near as gnarly as we thought it would be. Nowhere near as bad as we thought. Still a lot of money. And again, another offensive skill position where all the money is anyway. But for the best running back in football, for a guy who had the best running back season in Raiders history last season, you can get him for $10 million?
That's excellent news for us. I was thinking it was pretty close to 12.
Bad. Yeah.
12 and a half. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically you made a bet, a $2 million bet. If you would have picked up that fifth year, would have been $1.5 million.
It was,
$8
million
and a half. Yeah. It's great. It's he's almost guaranteed to be franchised.
Ziegler hasn't done a lot of really great moves, in my opinion, but this bet on Jacobs was a good one because you're only making a $1.5 million gamble. Because if you would have picked up his fifth-year option and you do that $8.5 million, if you're right and he's not great, then all right, you cut him or trade him or you move on. And if he has the best running back season in Raiders history, you're only out $1.5 million. That's it. So it was props to the Raiders and Ziegler. You hedged your bet. It wasn't a giant windfall if you were wrong, right? Like they were technically wrong because they could have saved $1.5 million, but the bet was so little. It's like, no, you take the safe bet, a running back that gets hurt every single year. Great, awesome. I'm never knocking Jacobs, but let's call a spade, right? Like he had a couple issues and you draft multiple running backs this season. The running back market has fallen off, like we all know. The only reason it would be a bad bet is if Jacobs goes off and has a season like he's never had before. And that's exactly what happened. And all it did was cost you $1.5 million. Great news.
Yeah, it's definitely something that gives us a little bit more flexibility in the cap now because honestly, we need it. Fuck, we need it.
Who doesn't need more cap? Last bit of Raider news. I swung and missed. I could not have been more wrong. Sean Payton is going to the Broncos. I could not imagine Sean Payton wanting to handle that dumpster fire. He can pick and choose any team he wanted to coach for, minus like a handful. That's not true, but half the teams. But he could have went almost anywhere because he's the best free agent head coach available. He's a proven commodity. Why would you want to handle the Broncos' problems? All your draft picks were traded for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson seems broken. Ownership doesn't seem to know what they're doing. Brand new ownership. He did it. He is going to be the head coach of the Denver Broncos. We don't know the exact numbers of what Denver has to give New Orleans to get him.
Oh, we do know.
The exact numbers?
Yeah.
What is it?
They're giving him a one in this year. So the one that they got for Chubb from Miami. So they traded that, and then I think a 2 next year, and then they're getting back a 3 next year and Sean Payton.
Okay. The last one I saw was 2 high picks.
No, it's a 23-1, a 24-2, and then they're getting back a 24-3, and they get Sean Payton.
For the Denver Broncos, who are just overloaded with picks right now, after giving away everything for Russell Wilson. So the good news is the Russell Wilson black hole of problems isn't going anywhere for the next 2 seasons. So it's unlikely Sean Payton can do anything like real special moving forward. But the Raiders now have to deal with Andy Reid and Sean Payton 4 times a year out of the AFC West for the foreseeable future.
It's like I told you before, man. Ego, and money. They're going to give them $20 million a year, 17 to 20 around there a year. Ego and money. Oh yeah, you know what? I could turn them around. I know I can do it. I know people didn't like. That's the same reason why I think Carr is going to go for more than what people think. If he does get traded, it's going to be for more than what people think, because people still value that, and they're going to want to deal with it. I can win with this guy. I really want. That's why I thought that the Panthers were going to be a pretty good destination, because Frank Reich wanted him for 2 1s last year. So,
and it only takes one team.
It only takes one team.
It takes one team.
And it only takes one team to be a little
your value isn't the average of the offers. Your value is the biggest one.
And it's like, since you don't know, it's almost like you have the best hand. So you want to make sure that everyone knows you have a good hand. So you bet extra. You put extra chips in there just to scare everyone away. And that's what teams might do. They might just overwhelm Dave Ziegler with an offer just to make sure that they get their guy. And that's why people get traded 2, 3, 4 times and wash out in 2, 3, 4 places, because people have that ego that think they can fix this guy. I can put this guy in a better position. I can fix this guy. Sean Payton was like, look, you're going to give me the ton of money. And
desperation moves in too, right? Like if you're the Broncos, like you're Walmart, right? You're the Waltons. Like you bought a franchise, you went all in on Russell Wilson, that blew up in your face. You got to go all in somewhere. You're like, dude, we got to move some units. We got to sell jerseys. We got to sell tickets. We got to do something drastic. And they have a top 5 defense. Like it's not like, if you have a top 5 defense, 2 or 3 really smart moves on offense can make you good, right? Like if Sean Payton can fix Russell Wilson, I don't even want to put it out there. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, it's not optimal for us.
The only good part is that means he's not going to the Chargers next season. Like I thought Brandon Staley he'd get fired after this next season. Sean Payton with Justin Herbert in LA. That's what I was most worried about. So if there's any silver lining to this at all, is that he's not getting matched up with Herbert, but he's still in the AFC West, not optimal.
He's a good coach. He's
a very good coach.
He's a very good coach.
How many coaches are better than him in the NFL, do you think? Is he top 5?
No, I don't think so. He's won 1 Super Bowl. He's got a lower winning percentage in the playoffs. So like a Mike McCarthy. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's a good, but
way better than McCarthy.
Look at his record. And he had Drew Brees. Like it's like he's good, but it's like, yeah, he's good, but let's not put him up. Like if you're good, there's Bill Belichick, there's Andy Reid, and then there's a drop off to the next level.
I put McVay in that list.
No.
I would.
No, I wouldn't. But we'll look at him now. When he doesn't have those superstar players, it's not looking that good.
Half his roster was down with injury.
Oh, poor fucking Sean McVay. Fucking make it happen, bro. Look.
Okay. Make it happen.
Give away all your freaking wide receivers from last year and still fucking kill it because you got the right players. Look, man, I'm not going to get this arguing with you. You asked me a question, I gave you an answer. I don't think he's as good as people think. He has done it before where he's gone to a low franchise in the Saints and he's building back up. The problem is he's not getting the quarterback that he wants. He's getting a quarterback that's already there. Now, is the team built better than the Saints were when he got there? Yeah, they got more pieces and more tools, especially defensively. than what the Saints had.
The best defense he's ever had.
Yeah.
Saints had a good defense, not as good as not as good as Denver. They had a good they had some really good. Not were they ever top like 4 or 3? They were good. Not Denver good.
But look, when his last year with Jameis Winston, they weren't that good, and they still had a defense and an offensive line, and they had weapons, and they weren't that good. He didn't have the quarterback that he wanted.
Kind of ruined it.
Yeah, well, he didn't have the quarterback that he wanted. Now he's going to a place where, I'll tell you something right now. Your boy Russell ain't gonna have his own his private fucking office and shit. That shit's gone. All that shit is fucking gone. Your boy Russell Wilson, not gonna have his Russell. He's not gonna have his
he got
own,
a fithel in his mouth.
He's not gonna have his own private freaking he ain't gonna be going to freaking Sierra's concert mid fucking season and shit. That's all gone.
You don't think
he's
so?
Gonna be about football. Nope. Sean Payton's not gonna fuck around with that shit.
Oh, I hope those two just bash heads over shit like that. Russell Wilson's used to getting what he wants. Sean Payton's used to getting what he wants. That's what we got to hope for, right? That the egos just start bashing their heads against each other. Sean Payton gets caught in another bounty gate. Ooh,
I don't think Russell Wilson is that dumb. I think he got away with a lot this year because
he could.
Buddy Hackett let him. Like they said, well, what kind of offense are you going to run? Well, we're going to run the kind of offense that Russell wants to run. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. He had no backbone. He had no freaking clout. And Russell walked all over him. That's not going to happen with Sean Payton. Sean Payton's not going to disrespect him, but he's going to go in there and let him know who's boss.
I don't know, dude. Russell Wilson's got a contract that says he's boss.
He ain't the boss.
I hope they fight each other. His
boss.
Contract says he is.
Raiders his contract is not big, not much bigger than other quarterbacks' contracts out there.
It's like the second most guaranteed money ever. What do you mean? It's
exactly. Again, it's not like he's making so much more than everyone else.
It's the second most guaranteed money ever.
RJ, for right now, like, look, he's just the latest quarterback.
Until Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert.
Yeah, well, he's just the latest quarterback to get paid. That's all it is.
Don't second guess how industry shattering that contract was for Russell Wilson. For a guy that age, that much guaranteed money. It was pretty earth shattering. This isn't like Joe Burrow's first big contract, right? Where he's going to change the market forever. This is an old dude coming off of injury with the second most guarantee. Like it was a big deal. Like it was industry shaking. Ready to want to win, Megs?
Yes, sir.
Reality check. RJ would be worth 2 cartons of Newports in prison.
I don't know, man. 2 cartons of Newports. That's 2
that's
cartons.
So
2 whole cartons, 12 packs.
Not packs.
A carton is 12 packs.
Cartons. That's what I was saying. So like when I saw this, I was like, okay, another dig on RJ. And then I kept thinking about it. I was like,
that's a
haul. That's a haul. Like, okay, like I'm being, passed around in prison. I get it. Cute guy, right? Tight little butt, right? They probably want to slam it. But 2 cartons.
If you keep going.
2 cartons of Newports for me.
You can get somebody stabbed for 3 Lucy's, man. What the fuck?
Should that be a compliment? I feel like that's a compliment.
I would take it as well. I think let's hope reality check really isn't Dave Ziegler, because that's terrible negotiating.
Right? Well, I don't know. I mean,
no, that's terrible. That's a terrible negotiation.
It depends which prison. You know how people are like, "Oh yeah, you're
I don't care where you are in the world.
You're a Kansas City 9, but you're an LA 6."
No, you're not worth 2 cartons anywhere in this good earth.
Well, according to reality check, I am.
Until I see a booking sheet, until I see his rap sheet.
And he sounds like a really smart guy. Reality check.
All right, man. Well,
he knows his shit.
Okay. I don't think so, but
silver and black beatdown. We will be bottom of the AFC West next year with Sean Payton to the Donkeys. Well, there's a couple wild cards here. Sean Payton, really good coach. Broncos, bad offense, defense good. And then you got Brandon Staley in the Chargers, great team, terrible coach. I don't think Payton and the Broncos and Staley and the Chargers are guaranteed to be better than the Raiders.
Look, man, we had a lot of bad luck last year. We were rated, I think, one of these like nerds in their nerdery said we were the unluckiest
calculators team. And fellow nerds will go to the nerdery.
Where's that from?
Where's that from? Let us know.
We were the unluckiest team last season. So whenever things could break one way or the other, they broke against us. More often than not, more often than any other team.
Yeah.
I don't see us. Are we where we want to be? No, of course not. Are we moving in the right direction? We don't know. We'll see. But are we like some perennial playoff team right now? No, we do need to get better. But I don't see us being, 3-4 wins type of team either.
The AFC West, as of right this second, hasn't improved drastically like it did last season, right? Or as it perceived to improve last season, right? Mm-hmm. AFC West completely flopped based on expectations. Nothing has happened in the AFC West to make it think like those two teams, Denver and LA Chargers, have gotten drastically better. Brandon Staley has only proven what I have been saying for the last 2 seasons. Fucking hack. He's terrible. He's a top 5 roster, and he can't get his act together, right? So Chargers aren't getting any better as of right this second. Yes, the Broncos clearly improved their head coach drastically, going from Nathaniel Hackett to Sean Payton. But they still have Russell Wilson. They still have no draft picks. They have even less now. They traded for Sean Payton. So next season, I'm not that worried. It's 2, 3, 4 seasons away when Brandon Staley's gone. Most likely someone better comes in. Herbert's still there. Russell Wilson's gone in Denver. Sean Payton presumably still there. Next season isn't my worry. Next season's actually the one I'm least worried about. It's 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons from now I'm more worried about.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I said about New Orleans. Like he built up a team that was in a lot worse shape than what the Broncos are now when he took over the Saints. Mm-hmm. And it took him, a couple of years to do it, but he did it. And he kept them at that level, first or second place in the NFC South every single year. So he kept them up at that level for a long time. So it wasn't like he was a flash in the pan type of coach. Again, he had a future Hall of Fame quarterback, quarterbacking for him, a guy that he wanted, and a guy that he got. I mean, I wouldn't say early in his career, but not as late as he's getting Russell Wilson. So, the blueprint is there for him. Like the pedigree is there. He's done it before, but you still have to do it again.
Brandon Christopher. This is in response to your video on Tom Brady retiring. If you haven't seen it, it's check it out. This was great for Raiders' ability to trade Derek Carr. This value just went way up. So many teams are not in a position to draft quarterback and would take Carr's durability over Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield. So great for Raiders. Again, referring to Tom Brady retiring. And it's a zero-sum game because you're right. When there's one less quarterback on the market, the value for the quarterbacks available go up. 100%. But you're forgetting the other side of that coin. The Raiders are in the market for a quarterback. And way more important than what we get for Derek Carr is that we get a good quarterback. Way more important. It's 1,000 times more important.
I don't agree with that.
It's 1,000 times more important.
I don't agree with that.
We get a quarterback and then we get something for Derek Carr.
I don't agree with that.
It's 100% true.
That's not the case.
Please tell me what you mean. We can't possibly talk about the same thing.
Yes, because again, you're trying to slap Band-Aids on shit, and I don't necessarily feel we have to do that. I think we can.
Not true.
Okay. I think that moving on from Derek Carr, you want to get someone who is better than him as far as skill-wise. Let's get someone better. I don't think Garoppolo would be a lateral move because you wouldn't pay him as much.
Let me cut you off real quick. The next quarterback we get, it's not even relation to Derek Carr. It has nothing to do with Derek Carr. It has no how's he compared to Derek Carr? Nothing to do with that. Best possible. That's all I care about. Best possible quarterback is all I care about. And when you have multiple teams looking for quarterbacks and you're in competition with all these other teams looking for quarterbacks, having one less quarterback available just makes it harder to find yours. Right?
I mean, unless the quarterback that you want to find is in the draft.
No, it's all the same, right? Because now a team that maybe would have.
If you get more for Derek Carr, then you have more ammunition to get the quarterback that you want.
True, but way more important than getting. Like, it's a chicken and the egg, right? Right? It's like a chicken and the egg. Because I would much rather have a guarantee. I'd much rather have I was going to lay my head at bed at night knowing that I was in a good position to get a quarterback if it meant like cutting Carr and getting nothing, right? Like if we had to cut Carr and get nothing, but, we're getting the guy in the draft we want. We're getting Aaron Rodgers or whoever. What the fuck ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's way more important, right? That's way more important than like, oh my God, we got a first and a third for Carr. That's awesome. But we have to start Jarrett Stidham because everyone got swooped up, right? Like it's way more important that we get a quality quarterback that we like than we get the most value for Carr.
Right? I don't think so, man. Because the thing is like, would you rather? Do you need to win right now and trade not winning? I'm not
saying a right now quarterback. It could be a drafted quarterback.
No,
right?
But what I'm saying is look, what we get for Carr has nothing to do with who we draft at quarterback. If we draft someone at 7, that has nothing to do with what we get for Carr, right? That's two totally separate transactions. Yeah. So whether we get anything for Carr or not does not change if we draft a quarterback at 7 at all. So those are two different things.
Well,
if we get more,
they are semi-related, right? Because if there's one less quarterback available, then potentially a team that would have went after Tom Brady now may bid against us to trade up in the draft or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like that's what I mean. It's way more important that we get the guy we want under center than getting a lot for Carr. I know you agree with me. I think I'm just saying it weird.
I don't know if I agree with you. Because I
have to agree. It's more the most important thing of this offseason is that we get a quarterback that we want, right?
I think what I'm thinking is you're trying to get a quarterback to win right now.
No. I'm not.
Okay,
then I think you're thinking that. That's not what I'm saying.
I think I'm misunderstanding then.
What?
Okay.
Right, how about this? Your dream scenario.
I agree with you now. I agree with you now.
Yeah. So, like, for instance, your dream scenario, Soto. What quarterback do we get? Dream scenario.
My dream scenario is that we sign a. Man, I don't believe I'm going to say this.
My point being,
my dream scenario was this: we re-sign Jarrett Stidham, and Jarrett Stidham is a serviceable quarterback for us, and allows us to develop a quarterback underneath him that is ready to take over, if not after this season, in the middle of next season.
Okay, let's just say that quarterback CJ Stroud. Just throw a name out there. Okay. Irrelevant the person, right? Let's say it's that quarterback, right? With Tom Brady out of the picture, maybe a team that was focusing on getting Brady now is focusing on CJ Stroud, and the Raiders are now in competition with that team to get Stroud. That's my point. Is I feel like Tom Brady not being in the equation is a net loss for the Raiders, not a net win, because it's a zero-sum game. With Brady gone, that's one less quarterback to be a starter for one more team. Yes, it does raise the value of Derek Carr and every other quarterback available. Correct. But much more important than getting as much value out of Carr is getting the quarterback we want. Right?
Okay.
Don't you agree?
I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Just say you agree. You don't have to fight me on everything.
I don't say that. I don't say that. I don't want to say that I agree with you. I see what you're saying. No, I say that I see what you're saying. I get your point.
Say you're right, RJ. You're 100% correct.
No, I see your point. No. I see your point.
Yeah. I'm going to take that as you're right, RJ.
Take it however you want to take it.
What's the line from Pulp Fiction when he's like, say, I got this motherfucker. I believe. What was that line? I think it was Marcellus. Ah, shit. What was that line?
He said, "I don't want to hear no motherfucking ifs." He's like, "Chill out. I got this motherfucker." Yeah, I don't want to say all that because go chill them blanks out and wait for the wolf who should be coming directly.
You're saying the wolf? That's all you had to say.
You happy, motherfucker?
All right, that's it for this episode of the Autumn Windbags. Thank you for partying with us. Thank you, Adam Hill. We're going to start doing more guests. Hopefully you like guests because they're coming, whether you like it or not. Next week, we haven't even talked about this, Soto. I'm going to be on a plane bound for Australia on Tuesday. So there's no situation where I can record midweek. Maybe a rare Soto Rory episode.
You got to talk to Rory about that.
Something like that. We'll figure something out. We will absolutely have a show next week. We'll absolutely keep filling the YouTube channel with all the information, analysis that you request and desire and need. We'll figure it out. It'll be a surprise. But until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.